So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Everyone, and welcome to the P.A.C.E Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live at lifestyleradio.ca and now at Spreaker. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight on the P.A.C.E Radio Show, I am here with my joint host, Northern Ontario Kim Cooper. And for tonight's show, she has invited a guest who has been an inspiration for many and gets her message across in a very special way. But before we learn more, after I have a little talk with Kim. Kim, are you there?
I sure am, Al. How are we all doing tonight?
Good. And yourself?
I'm pretty good. A little shook up from doing some research, but I'm pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes research can be tough. Yes. I got two quick news items before we bring our guest in. One of them I haven't even talked to you about, and that happens to do with the new Ontario law. Did you happen to catch that?
With the new one for vaping, disallowing of vaping. Yeah. Who hasn't heard about that, right? That's the talk of the town right now. Dana Larson's that's a different issue. There's some petitions floating around about it. There's still time to speak out about this. It doesn't go in effect right away, and that's what people got to wrap their heads around. There's time to do something about this. It's an initiative that our darling Kathleen Wynne has brought forward, saying that she's going to renege on all her promises and bylaws that she wrote up previous to this, and initiatives that, yes, we're allowed to medicate where we want because it is a legally prescribed medicine, and that's fine and dandy, and we shouldn't be restricted. Now, lo and behold, we're not allowed anymore. She wants to take it all away.
Yeah, it was odd because, back then in November when she first came out with them, she said that they had consulted with the lawyers, and it was recommended that they go ahead and do this to allow patients to do it publicly because of the fact that they would end up in court with a constitutional challenge. And then all of a sudden, it was like a complete spin around, eh? So
yeah,
it's
total 360.
It almost sounds like a recreation model instead of a medical model.
Absolutely. And that's what exactly what I was afraid of with legalization for recreational, is that medical gets swept under the carpet then. And we get just pushed in with everybody else that's recreational. When a patient has a need to ingest their medication at that given time for their given ailment, whatever it may be, they must ingest that medication. If somebody is opposed to the smell of a Ventolin puffer on the exhale, that doesn't mean a person can't use a Ventolin puffer for an asthma attack. Right. And the same rules should apply to cannabis. There's absolutely no question there. And they will face a legal challenge.
Yeah, I don't know of any other medication that has been out where they're looking at outlawing to prevent a patient from taking it in public.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know of any other medication.
There is none. It's illegal doctor prescribed medication. Laws and police and law enforcement, and nobody can interfere with doctor patient. The relationship there and what the prescribed use is for that patient. That's between doctor patient. Yeah. Nobody crosses that line. Nobody.
And it not only affects the patients in that way. There's also businesses involved. From vapor lounges and stuff too. That. That are probably, I know there was a big meeting last night of cannabis businesses in Toronto
Hot Box Cafe hosted that. Abby Roach was the hostess for that. And a lot of people showed up. She's got great support. They're trying to put together money for a lobbyist, full-time lobbyist, and a lawyer to go to Queen's Park and fight this. They got some really great turnout. I believe they made their mark for a lobbyist, but they're still looking for funds for the lawyer. So anybody that's interested in getting on top of that, get in touch with the Hot Box Cafe and Miss Abby down there in Toronto.
Okay, and I got some quick news that was sent to me today. I have occasionally, in this type of thing, we do receive some news anonymously, and the rumor basically is I'm hearing that apparently that there's a chance that a patient who has been fighting for the rights to some type of medicinal cannabis equipment may have victory right before their eyes here soon. And we're hoping the rumor is that it could be within the next day or two, some type of thing will be ruled on this, and it may allow patients from what here's the report right here. It says that there could be some compensation, but the source seemed to have no idea whether it be $50 or more, but apparently there might be some assistance for people on disability or something. So.
Well, isn't that wonderful breaking news here on P.A.C.E Radio? Isn't that fantastic? If patients got some relief for medicinal cannabis apparatus, that would be wonderful. Now, I would most likely think this would be applying to the Volcano Vaporizer, considering it is the only legal medicinal use tool for a cannabis user right now. They do have that patent on it, that it is a legal medicinal use tool. And it's the only one that is certified, I believe, it's the Volcano.
That's the only one I'm aware of. But unfortunately, my information was very vague. It was sort of like one of those dark alley exchanges of information,
Absolutely.
So I'm going to suggest everybody's watching the coming days for some very important news. Let's see what happens. So
fantastic.
All right. That's the end of the bit of the news, and let's get ready to bring in our guest. And our guest tonight, because of her art for work and much more, has been inspiration for many people. If you've ever read Treating Yourself magazine, Cannabis Digest, or even some Hallmark cards, you've seen it. So I'd like to welcome at this time our friend Georgia Toons onto the P.A.C.E Radio Show. Georgia, are you there?
I am. I'm here.
Welcome to the P.A.C.E Radio Show. We are very pleased to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
It's been a while since I've talked to you, so I'm really looking forward to hearing the conversation that you and Kim have, and I've got some questions of myself that I'll throw in along the way.
Terrific.
Terrific. All righty. So, Kim, are you there too?
Oh, I've not gone anywhere. I've been waiting for this for several days in anticipation.
Well, I can tell you what you told me before the show. I can tell you are a fan of Georgia Toons, so I'm sure you have plenty of questions for her.
I most certainly do. Georgia Toons, as you're known to the worldwide followers of your work. Miss Georgia Toons, how are you today? And thank you so much for joining me tonight on the P.A.C.E Radio Show.
I'm fine, Kim, and thank you for inviting me. And like I said, you've always been so nice and supportive to me as well. So I thought, why not? Sure.
I love it. I love your why not. I love it. I'll take it. That's great. Well, we're going to get started right away, I guess, by giving some people a bit of background on you, that people that may not be aware of who you are. You're a cartoonist. You're a very good activist, great activist in our community. Your activism is done through cartooning. You're a mom. You're a medically prescribed cannabis user yourself, and you also have a son. Your story behind the birth of your son and the last 18 years of his life is quite something that people can't really wrap their brain around, I don't think. If those that aren't aware, I encourage you to go to Georgia's site and read her story as well after you hear our interview tonight. But to start off with, you studied art in school, but you got away from it for a while and did the teenage years and early 20 thing that we all seem to do. And you met
So
a wonderful
easy.
man and got married and settled down and had a beautiful son named Storm. And that's when you got back into your art.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you got back into it, and your first appearance, right as soon as you got back into it, was the mural you did for your son's room, and you wound up on TV for it, a show called City Line with Marilyn Dennis. Want to tell me a bit about that?
That's right. It was exciting. Yes, I was so proud to share his pictures, and that, I don't know how old you are, Kim, and that's your business.
I remember.
I'm not ashamed of it. And so she was big back then, Marilyn Dennis. I loved her. I still do. And I sent pictures of Storm's room. The next thing I know, we were on the show. It was a Bambi theme. Life-size trees and etc. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. And that got you right back into the art, and you felt all artsy again after doing that, and you carried on with that. And you started doing murals for other kids' room, and it led on to bigger and better things. You wound up doing another TV show for kids' arts and crafts thing, and that developed into opening up a studio to teach kids crafts. How was that for you?
That was good. I loved it. I miss it to this day. That is what I did. I taught kids privately. For years, I don't think that they've taught enough art in the school system. So There's so many kids out there who are talented and they can't quite seem to express themselves when they're little. And it was great, and it was busy. It was thriving. It was a wonderful time. I still see them. I saw one not too long ago, and he still remembers the fish I drew him, 20 years later.
Awesome. Well, see, that's making memories that last a lifetime. And the kids need so much more of that. It's just great. Anybody that can contribute to that is just fantastic. There is just not enough of it in the schools, as you said, for sure. Was after that, sometime later, not till you hit about 40, that you got back into cartooning.
Yeah.
And you decided cartooning, I think I heard a quote saying you started cartooning and you decided this was it. That's it. And that's what you wanted to do. And now cartooning is a mainstream for you. And I enjoy all of your cartoons. And I must say to the audience that's listening, I'm a proud owner of her whole collection. And I display them proudly on my piano. I love Georgia's work. I just absolutely love it. Your activism in cartooning has meant the world to me over the last few years. That's for sure. I know you enjoy it very, very much. Your activism, you got into it. A lot of it is personal experience from my understanding of your story. And that takes us over to the birth of your son, Storm. Want to tell us a little bit about the history? And I know that he was born with an illness that, no matter how hard I try, I can't pronounce, Georgia. I've tried, and I can't say it.
Called multiple
I will leave that to you. Sorry, go ahead.
It's tough to this day. We're constantly spelling it out for people, but it's multiple synostosis syndrome.
Okay.
And it means that the smallest bones in his body were fusing faster than the other bones. At the time, he was just constantly screaming, and we took him to the hospital. And it was tough because they didn't diagnose him right away. So from beginning to end, that journey was difficult, but when they did finally diagnose him, they diagnosed him with a progressive to terminal bone disease. And I think he was just over, between 4 and 6 is when all the tests started. And the first one was that he was going to be deaf and that he was losing his vision. And it progressed from there. And they told us initially that they didn't think he would live past 12. Not things you want to be hearing about your only child when they're at a very young age. So it is something that my husband and I stuck it out because it wasn't easy after that.
No, it wouldn't be. Devastating to anybody that has a child or doesn't even. The loss or knowing prequel of a loss like that, it would be torture.
Yeah, it plays on you a bit. It does play on you a bit. I can't deny. And I've been fortunate, though, because I have had great doctors over the years. One thing that Sick Kids does and did was outstanding was they set you up. They had things looked after right away. It's never been an issue of what Storm has. It's only been an issue of how to make his life enjoyable, which is what it should be about for everybody on this planet. Make everyone's life a little bit easier. Isn't that what we're here for?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you, just out of curiosity here, Georgia, would you consider yourself a cannabis advocate by accident then?
Oh, absolutely. Anyone who knows me, I swear they will say to you, they'll have no problem saying to you, I didn't even smoke pot. I tried it in high school. I was one of those ones who didn't like it, unfortunately, and I will have no issues sharing this. I was drinking. That's the direction I went and will regret forever. But yeah, I wasn't. I didn't even smoke it. I didn't even know what a bong was.
And more and more we're finding the strongest advocates are the unlikely advocates, and the ones that kind of got pulled into it through illness.
Well, the irony is that a girlfriend because I wasn't sleeping, she said, you need to get some sleep. Try this. I'm like, ugh. So, but sure enough, she bugged and I did. Well, thank God, because finally, when I couldn't take about it, the research was Storm, finding out what the alternatives were for him and the medication, which was a constant battle. I said, try it. And all it takes as a parent is one look, one time to see. And the changes that we saw, my husband and I were convinced ever since. And we made, to this day, we will fight for it because of. And he's lost jobs over it. It's been a difficult journey, but not one we certainly regret by any means.
No, especially if a doctor only said that he would live to the age of 12. And how old is he now?
He's 23.
23.
Yeah.
23.
Actually, I keep saying that. He's 22. I'm always like, oh, you're going to be 23. You're 20. Yeah, he's 22. He's going to be 23. And yes, that is it. But not just that, Al. Even the doctors were aware of Storm's journey and how much he was suffering, and were aware of the changes that were made the moment he started using cannabis. And he's never had to, knock on wood, thank God, never mind knock on wood, that he's never had to use opiates or, OxyContin or any pills. I can't even get him to take an aspirin to this day if he has a fever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I know he's very much doesn't like medicine. And that's very clear from your blog. Storm does not like to take medicine. So, yeah, that's very clear.
Kim, before you jump into another question, I just looked over. I just been sitting here listening and talking away, and I just looked over the time, and I just thought, oh, boy, it's break time. So.
Yes, it is.
Hey, that happens, right? So, tonight our bumper music, which by the way has been lengthened a bit, is by the Killing Time Band, and it's their song "Hippie Girl." Then after the break, Kim and I will continue our talk with our guest, Toonist Georgia Toons. This is the P.A.C.E Radio Show at lifestyleradio.ca. This is the P.A.C.E Radio Show.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet. www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com. On Facebook, CTCP Society. Or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the P.A.C.E Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the P.A.C.E Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
I jumped in the van with my friends and we drove over 3 hours. I crossed some borders, man, to get down in those mountains. Picked up some girls on the side of the road. Said, baby, got extra tickets. Would you come with us to that show? So we was funking out, just a dancing and grooving. Drinking beers, smoking weed, just moving and moving and moving. Band takes the stage, they started ripping my favorite song. They said, baby.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show live here on lifestyleradio.ca and on Spreaker. Or you can also catch us at one of the other many audio applications that are out there, such as Mixcloud. Don't forget to tune into the 420 Radio Show, which is now into its 8th season. It's full of a crew of medical cannabis patients and recreational users. They come from different walks of life. Listen in as they talk to the guests, provide some fun, some in an informative way, but still be fun, and to learn a bit about cannabis. And then you can tune into the live shows every Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at lifestyleradio.ca. Tonight on the P.A.C.E Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, Toonist, Georgia Toons, and my joint host, Northern Kim Cooper. Kim in Georgia, you still with me?
Yep. I'm back.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You know, there's always those times, eh?
Yeah. No gremlins tonight. We're good. We're good.
Good stuff. No storms out there or anything. Because, you know, we were talking about storm before the break, so.
Yes. Yes. Different kind of storm on the airwaves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. I had something I was going to ask about the break, I guess, and that had something to do with Georgia and you know, your cartoons. I mentioned that you had some stuff in Treating Yourself magazine. That was where you and I met, as well as Cannabis Digest. Is there other spots and that that your work is published at?
In the beginning, I was in Nug. I was in everything once because I was determined. And it worked, and I'm grateful. But no, and then you and I, Al, we got to hang out really at the expos, which were nice.
Yeah. That's right. It was, we would see each other that way, and occasionally we would run into each other when we were doing the Treating Yourself, not only the expos, but Treating Yourself had a booth at different events. The National Women's Show, National Health Show, stuff like that.
The Women's Show. The Home Show.
Yes, the Home Show. That's right. National Home and Canada Blooms, the largest one in North America, or at least Canada, in downtown Toronto at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. And it was fantastic. You reached a lot of people over 10 days, and it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving away magazines and showing them, we show the new stuff, including your cartoons.
Yeah, not to mention it was groundbreaking at the time, Al.
Yes.
That was because I remember it was a bit of fight even getting in there, so that was something.
Yes, it was. It was groundbreaking, and being able to get into the places, and that was something that Marco really shot for in discussions I had with him. Like he started at the International Home Show, and he liked the idea of getting into downtown Toronto at these large events and these big places, and show cannabis and show the benefits of it. And that was something that he achieved. And right. When he set his goal on something or his sights on something, he achieved it. So
that's right.
Just to interject here on that, we still have the same issues are still happening to this day in the North. There's a lot of events that go on in the North that do not allow me to have a booth because it's cannabis related.
Really?
Right down to the Cancer Society event. They have a major event up here in the summertime. It draws thousands of people from all over the world. It's called the Bikers Reunion. They will not allow me a cannabis related event.
Wait, what kind of bikers? Did you say Bikers Reunion?
Yep. That's the name of the event.
Yeah.
And it draws, we have 5,000 bikes driving down Highway 11.
Well,
and I can't have a cannabis booth.
And this is a Cancer Society putting it on, so it's not bikers.
The Bikers Reunion, the whole donations, all of it goes to cancer.
Yeah.
Kim, I think, we've got to learn to start to pick our battles. Or what's going to happen? Everybody's going to get sick. And aren't we sick and tired enough? And the thing is, I get it. I kind of get it. That, they've been associated themselves with enough negative publicity. They probably just want to avoid further. And the only reason it is because the mass majority still is not educated enough. And here's the thing. We were just granted this huge, victory. I don't hear anyone talking about it, including all those who couldn't shut up about it. Everyone's quiet now all of a sudden. I don't think it's over in 6 months.
Because I have my van and I go down anyways, and I just go off fairgrounds on the park side there, and I sit in front of my van with a table.
Yeah, and and Kim, that's what you do, and you're not doing anything wrong. And as long as you're being a good person, you're not hurting anybody. By all means, this is Canada, right?
Yeah. So I don't have to pay the fee for.
Here's the thing: we got to pick our battles. Put your energy towards such positive stuff, which you can. Some stuff we got to let go for whatever reasons. Anyhow, that's what I feel.
Yeah. Well, it just saves me some dough on event space anyways, so.
Yeah, there you go. That you can use towards something else, towards putting it towards some love or putting it towards something that's going to come back to you tenfold in a brighter light. That's
it.
I found this to be as well. I'm not just saying it because, blah, blah, blah. This is how I have found it to be the past few years in particular, so.
Well, there's major change in the major cities. There's huge change going on. There's huge acceptance. We're allowed in these events now. We have vapor lounges. We have bong shops all over the place. Just last year, in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. We had a bong shop raided. All of their stuff was confiscated, and the guy went up broke, out of business. Last 2 years ago, I was denied space at the area's bikers reunion in Benefit for Cancer. I still have problems getting some event space at local events in smaller communities around the north. They just won't accept it. So the big change that are happening in the cities aren't necessarily happening everywhere across Canada. There's kind of a line down the middle of the country, and if you're south of that line, then you're good because you're in any one of the cities going along the coast. As soon as you go north of that line, everything is a whole new world up here.
Well, and you see, Kim, this is why I'm determined anyways to try and do what I'm doing and it's draw about it, because, I'm not going to scream about it. There's nothing that aggravates me more is when I hear some of the nasty stuff come out of people's mouths that I've heard. And, draw, educate. There's a lot of ways to do it, and the unfortunate thing is it's not. You don't always have to be, and not there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't always have to be at a protest. And this is the thing: there's so many people that are not able to get out to protest for whatever reasons, a million reasons under the sun between health and finances, and then they feel like, well, I'm not going to do anything. Forget it. There is so many things you can do, from speaking to your neighbor and not giving up. Why everyone thinks they have to get on a bus and there's a lot of ways to do it.
Every weekend I attend with Canadays, a friend of mine that owns a business called Canadays. They do novelty items, cannabis novelty items. And we're in there every weekend at this flea market. The similar idea is what we did with Treating Yourself, but in much smaller location, but it's a flea market. And people come through there, they don't expect to see you. And they're surprised. And the next thing you know, you're talking to somebody for half an hour. So
the next thing you know, they're like, oh, well, you know what? My sister. And people start coming out of woodwork. And then there you go. You're surrounded by it in a positive environment. I would often go to, when my health allowed, Kim, I was going to art shows. I was bringing my painted wooden Zen kitties. People were coming to the booth. People were looking at my stuff to see that. And right there, sitting beside it, was my comics and my postcards that I never shouted and screamed about, but I got just as much attention for them. I didn't scare anyone away because of them. Do you understand? I'm trying to come at it from a mom's point of view. I'm trying to come at it from a parent's point of view. I'm trying to come at it from a point of view that's tired of fighting with everyone about it.
That's it. I mean, the arguing and the bickering has to stop. It's a plant. And when it comes down to it, that's what it is. It's a plant.
You just said it. It's a distraction. And we're doing it to ourselves. Yeah, absolutely. Your artwork is just fantastic, and I am so thankful that you are able to speak through your art, and I mean, it just touches so many people. That's true. I want to go backtrack a little bit and talk about Storm again a little bit more. What age did you finally decide cannabis was the answer for him, or to at least give it a try? Yeah, well, I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I did know it was the answer for him, but I did want him to try it before he was going to start to have to try like morphine. He was already on liquid codeine. He had already had the prescription for it. So he was 14, and I still remember it quite vividly. I called him and I said, I want you to try this. And when he saw it, he looked at us and he said, if this is a test, I don't do drugs, and he shook his head. And it wasn't a test. Then we had to convince him that it wasn't a test. We were really serious, and we did want him to try it. And no one's
I can imagine a 14-year-old kid sitting there going, what are you trying to do to me?
Talk about confusion.
As a mom of 3, if I ever had to approach one of my kids at 14 and say, here, try this, they'd look at me. I know the exact look you're talking about. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that would
And
definitely
he
be
was
freaky.
not that he led a sheltered life, but absolutely it was sheltered more than most because he was diagnosed with a terrible illness. So
Yeah.
he didn't
they had
ever get
chronic pain
too
most of
far
his
from out
life,
of my
right?
sight. So
Yeah.
he didn't do drugs. So
Right.
of course that was his reaction.
I'm just wondering, after it all settled into his head that, okay, we're serious here. We're talking about this as a medicine. It's not a trap. And they're serious. What did he think?
Nothing, because he tried it, and I wasn't quite sure. So he tried it that evening, and just within the course of the evening, it was one of the first nights he slept the entire night where he slept through. Because his body wasn't getting, this is how I've been explained, because his body doesn't get the same amount of oxygen when he's sleeping, his pain would kick in more in the evenings. And he would constantly wake up. Storm never slept a full night since birth. So that was right there was the first miracle.
The whole night after his first use.
The first night Storm sleeps through. Mind's blown right then and there.
Yeah.
And he felt great. And he came to us and he said, okay, you know what? It did work. I would like to try it again. So then we said, okay, this is how it goes. And I said, no, well, now we have to go to the doctor. And he was a very intelligent kid. He always has been. But I said, you have to tell the doctor why you think it's going to work for you. That was the first step.
Yeah. Wow. So first night in his entire life, 14 years of life, and he slept through the night after her first ingestion of cannabis. That's just utterly amazing. So next step is onto the doc. Oh my gosh. I would be fearful for that conversation, and I can't wait to hear how that goes.
No, like I said, Kim, this has never been anyone who knew Storm, knew the journey. The doctors all knew him since he was little. He's very, look at him. You've never met my son.
I have.
He's met him. He's such a great young man.
I see his pictures posted with those great big fish that he catches.
Yes. He's he's now also
interviewed him a couple years ago.
Yeah,
from a cafe at the cafe.
He's doing great. He's happy. That's what matters. I swear, with our kids more than anything. I see so many who are miserable, and there's nothing wrong with them. Physically, which is really
so his life has been a complete
change
then.
Yeah, a sad statement of the times. And again, another reason why all of us should be focusing on other things other than cannabis, because our kids are struggling in general, I think.
Yeah.
But no, that was it. That was the
such
first
relief.
story. Kim, I go off topic too, but that was it. That's all it took was the first evening, and he felt great, and our lives have been changed ever since. I tell you.
Wow,
Georgia. So this was all basically 10 years ago. Now things are, there's more information, more knowledge. People have found different ways of doing things. And I've talked to a couple of parents. We've had them on the radio show, and the question of smoking has come up. Now, the way you see things now, obviously you would have done it differently. I'm assuming you wouldn't have. Back then, you probably only had the bong choice.
I didn't know, Al, honestly, and I didn't. I didn't hang out
none
at
of us
shops.
did.
I didn't get Treating Yourself magazine. I'd never seen it before. So, yeah. Well, Storm he likes to use a vaporizer. I prefer to use the bong myself because it works the best for me. But he still does. But no, I would have immediately learned to start baking with it is what I would have done. Which as soon as we did learn things, Michelle Rainey was one of the first to help me out and kind of pointed me in that direction. And then I immediately quickly learned how to make butter and cookies and took it from there. And Storm was in high school, so
Yeah.
He also became an honor student once he started.
We're gonna do it again. We're gonna talk right through into our break time. I just get involved in the conversation. Like, oh, it's break time again. So, all right. So it is. All right. So, all right. So again, we're going to hear some more music from the Killing Time Band. And when we return, Kim and I will continue this conversation with Georgia Toons. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show live here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Show, man, we headed out to the parking lot. Lots of folks sitting around getting way messed up. This scene got crazy, man, and I had to split. Lost my mind, jumped in a ride. We drove down further, man, south past the grotto. Town to town, we went to Colorado. We found another show and scored ourselves some tickets. Met some girls, man, and now it's time.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the P.A.C.E Radio Show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, or Alison Murden, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at lifestyleradio.ca. Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the P.A.C.E Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live tonight and every Wednesday night here at lifestyleradio.ca and on Spreaker as well. Plus, you can find us at many of the other audio apps that are out there. Tonight's bumper music was by the Ontario-based Killing Time Band and their song Hippie Girl, a song that I know that I enjoy because it's upbeat and because of all that saxophone. I enjoy that stuff. Seeing them do it live, it was great. If you enjoyed tonight's song and you want to hear more of their music, then I suggest that you go to killingtimeband.com or look them up on YouTube. Tonight on the P.A.C.E Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, tunist and blogger Georgia Toons, and my joint host, Northern Kim Cooper. Ladies, are you with me?
Yep.
I'm back too. I'm back with a smile.
Good stuff. Well, in the earlier segments, we've talked about Georgia's tuning and drawing and stuff, and we talked about Storm. Where are we going in this last segment there, Kim?
Oh, I think I wanted to touch base a bit with Georgia. As we said in the beginning of the show, she's also a medical marijuana user. I wanted to touch a bit with her on her condition and what she finds relief from using cannabis. How does cannabis help you in your life, Georgia?
In numerous ways, Kim. It allows me to keep drawing and getting up and not staying in bed and feeling sorry for myself, frankly. Because that's how my day starts many times, and it's until I give myself a kickstart and hit the bong, let that sound as crude as anyone wants it to. It's all in their minds, not mine, that's for sure. Without it, I wouldn't be able to function. I don't think. I certainly wouldn't be able to eat. I don't have much of an appetite. I'd be lost without it. And I too would have to be on some sort of definite heavy-duty pharmaceutical by now, in the sense of an opiate, I'm sure.
And that such is the case for so many out there. I mean, we can find relief in a natural remedy, in such as a plant grown by God. And as we all know, God does not make mistakes. It's here for us, and he put it here for us to use as a medication. I find it difficult dealing with people that you think have intelligence, yet they still want to buy into 1940s propaganda. I don't understand. I have difficulty with that, I must say.
Well, I do too. But I have used this instance before, that some of the most difficult people, especially in the beginning for me, were those who loved us the most. Family, old school, who have had that constantly, put into their head from day one, that it's been bad, that your brain would fry. Look at the stuff that we can still find now, if you look the propaganda bullshit. So there you go. Once you step back and say, you know what, they just don't understand. And even then, even when they do get it, it still plays on you a bit.
Yeah. So you find it helps you concentrate. It allows you to eat. You use it for pain as well?
Yes, I do use it for pain, big time. And I have a condition that twitches, to put it mildly. It's just my face. I know when I tell people, I start to laugh, but it's one of those things, my faith is really strong. And God certainly has a sense of humor, because I don't even know what to think some days, but it's only the right side of my face and head and neck that's affected. And I've just been suggested that I possibly have more surgery, and I'm not up for it.
I see.
So I think I'm going to increase my cannabis as much as I can and see how that goes for a bit.
Okay, perfect.
It's odd how that all comes around. In the beginning, you were learning all this stuff in order to help your son, and now you have that experience to help yourself.
Yeah, and I have no doubts that if I wasn't because of Storm, then one of the first options I would have went for was give me a pill by now, because like I said, if it wasn't for me getting up and I had popcorn the other night with medicated coconut oil. Nice. And I had, I wasn't thinking, we were watching a movie. It was great. It was just me, my own bull. I felt terrific by the end of that movie. I was giggling, and my husband said he was going to bed. Norm doesn't use cannabis. He's another one. He doesn't use pills or anything. He's one of those guys, which is great. But yeah, so what's the worst? I felt great, even though, whereas if you take pills, I'm one of those people who has always been one to forget. What's going to be the worst then if I forget and have 3 or 4 of something?
Yeah. Now you're on overdose levels. You're
in the other room. I'm going to be out in a coma on the bathroom floor, drooling. There's so many issues surrounding it, and people just have to be educated on it. Once you start to find... Sorry, Ken.
You can't. No, it's okay. You can't overdose on cannabis. So I mean, that's the thing. And if we're going to have a side effect from a medication, why is it a problem if the side effect is that you're giddy? I don't see a problem with that.
Well, heaven forbid we enjoy ourselves, and it's not alcohol where we're going to be vomiting on the sidewalk 3 hours later.
That's right. And days with a hangover and, loss of work, and not to mention, violence that can take place with alcohol-related incidences.
But not loss of revenue, Kim. Not for the government, right? Not loss of revenue, and that's what it's all about, as far as I'm concerned. That has been the hardest part on this journey for me. The rude awakening that I really feel that when it comes to cannabis, they really do not care about our health. They are more concerned about lining their pockets. That's exactly how I feel.
Well, follow the money, right?
Yeah.
Follow the money and you will find your answer. The money stops dead on the government's doorstep.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Something tells me that you've expressed that probably in several of your tunes.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I'm not making it up. I say,
no, that's right.
I'm making this up.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple of little tidbits that I wanted to get in here about you. I know that when you do manage to go out, you carry with you a little kind of notebook, and you kind of jot down things, notes and stuff phrases that people say, and so forth, and instances that you're in. So many of your cartoons are actually drawn from real life experiences. So I think is the main character in Georgia Toons. Is that actually you, Georgia?
Yeah. I'd be, a liar to say if it wasn't. There's a lot of, even if the cartoon's not 100% true, it's usually always based on some sort of truth or something that triggered something, an actual comment that someone said. Quite often, Norm or Storm, these two I find are quite funny. They make me laugh all the time. Or friends, but yes, it's usually always on some hint of something.
Yeah.
But, then I draw frogs that are dancing, you're going to take from it what you want.
Well, it wouldn't be a cartoon without dancing frogs.
Yeah, there you go.
I still want, I would so much, I'll talk to you about that later.
Oh yeah, turtles.
Never mind. That's for another time and place. So you're both, you and your son, using cannabis in the house. You're both legally licensed. Storm got his license through the MMAR. I think he wasn't he at one time the youngest licensed prescribed user in Canada?
I know Storm and Cheryl's daughter were both applying at the same time. I think they were both the same age at the same time. Cheryl Rose.
Yeah. That'd be Haley.
Yeah.
Haley. So that was kind of neat because I remember saying to her, "How cool is this?" But I think he was one of them. Unless there were parents that didn't bother advocating it, and I get it because there are times that it has brought unwanted attention. I've lost friendships over it. I get it. Years later, not to say I wouldn't do it, but I certainly get why other people might not. Not to mention they're struggling with dealing with their child who has an illness.
That's it. Yeah. A lot of people just can't, I guess, handle the thought of so much loss happening around them, and I guess
Well, and the irony
outcry
for
from
me is
people
that's
around
how
them
I
that don't necessarily agree. I mean, it's a lot to take in all at once for sure. You've got to be, especially a strong person, which, my dear, you very much are. Very strong woman in the community. As you said before, your husband suffered job losses over this.
Yeah,
Or was that
mistake.
Storm had lost jobs over this?
No. One time, Norm, we had quite a thing. You know, Al, you know how proud we are of treating yourself in the expo.
Yep.
It was
Correct.
literally days after. And Norm was so happy. He was so proud. He brought the magazine to work. And unfortunately, he left it on the job site. The next thing I know, he was being called into the office. So it was just blown so completely out of proportion. And then he was sent home without pay for 2 weeks. He was punished. And, you know, we're like many other people who have lived paycheck to paycheck. So when
Like
suddenly the main income worker is sent home from work and told he's not getting paid for 2 weeks, we were panicking. Thank God. But it is by the grace of God that I had just completed the expo and had made enough money to carry us through those couple of weeks. You know, I needed glasses and I went without, which is fine, but that's exactly how life works. And it was by the grace of God that we had enough money to carry us through. But there you go. So I get where people are coming from. There are other people, teachers, who would lose their job. And you know, who is anyone to say, well, you're not out there and you're not being an advocate. You're not paying their bills. You're not putting food on their table.
Yeah.
There's some people who just can't do it. It's too much of a risk.
That's right.
But why should it be? Like, I don't understand how can somebody suffer in this day and age, somebody suffer repercussions for using a legal medicine that's been legal in this country for 10 years?
Yeah, well, why are we still in court with it, Kim? Again,
I don't know.
Because the last time I checked,
I ask myself these
we're all
questions on a
granted the
daily
right.
basis.
We are because we let it, because we're not speaking up enough. And I mean, that doesn't mean everyone has to get out in their soapbox, but it means you got to speak up enough to speak to your neighbors and speak to your friends and speak to your family and say, you know, this is changing my life. Stop judging me over it.
Yeah. I don't really so much take issue with those that don't get out and advocate and yell it from the rooftops. But I kind of do take issue with the so-called closet users, those that consume cannabis as a medicine, believe in cannabis as a whole plant medicine, yet they will not tell anybody because they have to smoke it in their basement, away from everybody, and no, we don't. Oh, I don't touch that, and they deny it even in public opinion, and this really disturbs me.
Kim, even those basement ones though, and then on the other scale of that, the other spectrum, you have the other people who claim to be sick, and then the next thing you know, they're partying at raves for 48 hours straight. What message is that sending out? You know, it's again, it is constantly a fine line. I'm going to try and choose myself not to go either way on it, because that's one thing I've learned. The other ones who don't want to come out are because it's still being associated in a negative way. And, you know, why isn't it when we have these great big events in parks and it's a big heyday, promoting it? Fine, promote it, but promote it under that pretense, not under the pretense that it's a medical cannabis event. I don't see patients in wheelchairs. I don't people who are sick. That's not who it's catered to, these events. You know,
yeah, well, all of us that are ill at these events, most of us that are disabled, we stay behind in the park and let the younger ones march.
And chances are you also can't afford to go.
Well, no, I go actually every year to the GMMs in Toronto. Big fan. Been going there since it started. Many years I've been going to the GMMs, and I took my daughter there with me when she was 17 years old, and I was marching then. Now I'm not able to march anymore, so because I was using a cane then, and now I just can't do the march at all. I couldn't make it through a quarter of it without being disabled again and back in a chair. So I don't do the march. I stay behind in the park, and I leave the marching to the younger ones. But I do support it every year.
Well, it's good, and yes, you have to. You have to support everything to some degree because everyone's just expressing themselves to some degree. Yes. But at the same extent, if it's going to be, that's when it first started, it was called the Freedom Festival. Do you remember that?
Yep. There was there was a time where it was called the Freedom Festival.
Well, I tell you, I went to that one and it was fantastic. It was fun.
Yeah, that's the one I took my daughter to.
But, then when you get people saying, well, no, it's just this, it's for medical, and you see images of people walking around. Who's medical who walks around realistically with a 10-foot bong? Right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're never going to help change the message no matter how loud we scream if we don't, set an example or don't try educating the other side of it. Without yelling and screaming.
The recreational users, so to speak, I don't even like using that term, really. I very rarely use it. I prefer non-medicinal users. They are definitely on the bandwagon because we all want to free the leaf, basically, and free the plant. And it's all the same ultimate goal for all sides, whether it's medicinal or non-medicinal. And in my point of view, all use is medicinal. It doesn't really matter to me what your reason is for using it. If you're using it, you're helping your body.
I agree. 100%. I agree.
So in that light, I don't really mind the kids doing their thing. They're kids, they're teenagers, they're young 20s and stuff like that. Hell, I partied and we were on the streets at a festival, but we had bottles of booze.
Yeah, but Kim, this isn't about you. This isn't about what you
want.
So
it's all good, Yeah,
but it's not about what you mind, and it's not about what I mind. It's what the masses minded. Isn't that again what we're trying to do? That's all I'm saying is that all we're doing sometimes is just adding to the confusion with some stuff, and it just has to be made clearer.
Yeah, the public outcry that we heard back in November, I think that sort of should give us a bit of an idea how much more advocating that has to be done.
What was that, Al?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that back in November, when the government came out with in support of the medical users and allowing them to consume it publicly, and then there was that big outcry against that. To me, it shows that if people were more even educated, that outcry might not have been as loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so easy to educate them. You just have to point out, like we're doing it with food. We're doing it by saying, look at all the terrible ingredients in this food that you're putting in your body. Well, here's the natural one, and it seems to be working. So why not do it the same way? Show it just in a completely positive light that it is. That takes a lot of
advertising dollars that most in the community don't really have. So we have to do it through advocacy because that's what we can afford to do. Meet and mass peoples and march and protest and bring the subject up into the front line and get it on people's minds, and through social media postings and getting your booth at an event and educate until people that are sick of hearing it, and then do it some more.
And Georgia, I know I've seen some of your stuff in the past at some places, like your cartoons. You got more than just one or two cartoons. I believe I see you've got several. And didn't you put a book together that was available at places?
What do you mean regarding the
cartoons?
Cannabis?
Yeah, the cartoons that you put together. Like I remember you had a book that you handed out. Did any of those, were they done? Handed out?
I still do actually. I don't, because I'm not as physically able to be out there. I still, I have my own little way of putting out packages and. I've been lucky because
I know you sent some to me, and I distributed a bunch.
Yeah, and the postcards, who knew that would get the way it did?
Oh, I love
But
the
that is great,
postcards. I just love
when
the
I see
postcards.
people like Kim yourself and a lady from Ireland today, and it's, you can't beat that. I figure how many people see those postcards on the way, that's pretty neat.
So
yeah.
So you're posting these on Facebook, and then people ask you to send them one?
Yeah, or I say who wants one, and I say 3. I shouldn't be saying this out loud. I say 3, but I always pick at least 6. I send them out, and what's a stamp, right? For me, I'm fortunate. It's a few stamps every couple of weeks, and I do send out a little bit of other stuff. But yeah, and to know it makes people happy, and just it's getting places where it wouldn't normally get is another thing I've noticed.
There's also probably a little bonus too when you send those out in the mail, because you don't put them in envelopes, right? So everybody along the way can read them as well.
Yes,
yeah,
and
so I get looks from my postal delivery person when I go and pick up my mail, and they kind of looked at me when a couple of Georgia's postcards came in. They looked at me, and I went, "Oh, isn't this fantastic?" And just kind of left chuckling.
How great is it when I know that my friend Todd in the prison in the United States is getting my postcards? They give them to him.
They let it through. That's amazing.
There you go. And I send him extra ones, and he hands out postcards. So, it is changing. It is changing. The mentality is changing. It's just we're so distracted by everything else. No wonder. With some stuff that's going on in the world right now. But yeah, when I hear stuff like that, then right there, that can't be beat.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, it's been mighty interesting talking to you, Georgia. I must say, you are one hell of a lady. I encourage everybody that's listening to go to Georgia Toons' website, click on to read her blog, see what she's got to say, read her story about her lovely son, Storm, and the torment that poor boy is going through, but has now found some fabulous relief through cannabis and cannabis as a medicine. I can't thank you enough.
I see we've done what we did at the breaks. We've run over our time again, but that's good. That's fine.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was nice to be here.
Yes, and we're not done with you yet, Georgia. I still have a question for you.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes, we're not done. I just wanted to thank you again because I can't believe that you came on the show.
Thank you.
All right. As I said, Kim mentioned we're winding down, and this is a time, Georgia, where we like to ask our guests to give out a website or promote somebody. For example, let people know where they can find your stuff. Website.
Yes. I am Georgia Toons, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I have my website. It's all Georgia Toons, but I don't care. Pay attention to people like Todd, who are sitting in jail and shouldn't be. Good people who do not deserve to be in jail for growing plants. Regardless of what anyone thinks, it's wrong. It shouldn't be happening in the United States, and it shouldn't be happening in Canada. And it breaks my heart. This is where I would get emotional. It's not right, and that's been the hardest part of this journey for me, is seeing it and seeing all the little kids that have suffered, and people are still suffering because of ignorance. Please, if there's one thing, don't go to my website. Speak to someone. Educate someone so that our kids are not doing this in 5 years from now, in 2 years from now. Not one more baby has to go without medicine. And I mean baby, by the way. That's what we should be looking into, is medicine for our babies.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that message, Georgia.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you're right. And you're right. You know, people shouldn't be serving time in jail for cannabis plants, and that medicine should be made available to babies.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Kim?
Anybody who needs it should have it available. Absolutely. Age is absolutely irrelevant. I'm going to give a shout out to noser.org and the 420 that is happening in Temiskaming Shores this year. Noser.org organizes the Northern Ontario Cannabis picnics and Cannabis 420s, and they expanded this year. Last year they had 2 cities in the north celebrating 420, and this year they've expanded to 4 cities in the north. So double the cities for the north this year. So check out noser.org on Facebook. Out the various cities around be available at the Temiskaming Shore this year.
All right, super. It's good to know that you're growing up there in the north, Kim. So.
Yes, it is. It's encouraging to know that we've doubled our numbers this year for northern cities participating. It's fabulous news.
Yeah. And they can get all that information at NoSir on Facebook, correct?
That's correct. NoSir.org on Facebook.
All right, super. Okay, this is just a reminder to let everybody know that I will be back live again next Wednesday with my joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, and her special guest, as we continue to promote those who are fighting to bring an end to cannabis prohibition and helping patients. You can find the P.A.C.E Radio Show on Facebook and on Twitter at P.A.C.E Radio. We can also be found on the web at pace-online.ca, or you can find us by searching for People Advocating Cannabis Education. Thank yous go out to our sponsor, the friendly folks and very helpful at BMA Hydroponics, who are located in Belleville, Ontario. LRAP at lifestyleradio.ca. A huge thank you to our special guest, tunist and blogger Georgia Toons, and to my joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper. Plus a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning into the program. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Tuning into the program. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
Thank you.